Hello. Happy Valentine's Day. Did you get any post? Remember you used to ask each other that when you were very young. And it was very, very important that you got post on Valentine's Day. Um, you sort of get over that bit, but it's always nice to get flowers or something lovely that reminds you how lovely life can be. So I'm kind of lucky because I got my bunch of flowers going here already. But I did get things in the post. I didn't get a bunch of flowers, but I got things that I'm excited about getting in the post. And one of them, don't worry if you didn't get anything. We're going to make a bunch of flowers for you. If you want to paint these flowers, right? Um, they're not these flowers that you're looking at. That's just to fill the screen at the start. They're roses. Wouldn't you like roses for Valentine's Day? A nice bunch of pink roses. The link to where it's posted on the community tab is in the description. And the person that took the photo is somebody that was uploading it on Unsplash. And it's a user called Rico Navt, Ronavt. So thank you to that person, and I hope they have a lovely Valentine's Day for making our day nicer. Um, so that link in the description goes to, it's just a link to the community tab. Hopefully it works. I'm not always confident my community tab links work, but the community tab is up at the top of my channel page anyway, if you want to get there. So there are two photos there. And we're going to do a little bit of drawing, painting roses to give ourselves a bunch of roses so nobody can complain of being Mr. or Miss Lonely Hearts today, because I'm suggesting to you that we should give ourselves a nice bunch of roses for Valentine's Day, because I don't want anybody to feel unloved or left out. But shouldn't anyway, because life is full of lovely things, and nature and flowers are there to remind us how lovely life can be. And beauty all around us, which artists want to celebrate. So I'm doing the bonus live because it wouldn't be right, I think, that I'm doing so much work on this painting at the moment, which is a floral, which is upside down. You might be able to see a cat in it this way up at the current stage of development. This painting is going on and on and on because there's a lot of layers in it, the way I'm creating it. So this is why I've been so long uploading the video. But I'm enjoying it because it's very, very focused work, which, you're not always in the mood for, but I enjoyed it this time. And so I don't know. I don't know when I'll be finished, how long is a piece of string, but it wouldn't be right to be working on stuff that's botanical stuff and be talking. I was talking recently about how I was going to make a botanical sketch pad, because I'm getting into painting flowers and plants and things at the moment. I mean, I have been little bits, but I'm not tired of it yet this year. And the weather has been horrendous. So it's a nice thing you can do inside. It's very dark today. I'm going to go over onto my computer, the correct tab on the computer, the live tab, just to make sure that you can see me, that it's not, that the live stream isn't all dark. Yeah, it's fine. I hate turning on. I have a little light. I hate turning it on because it kind of floods everything, no matter how low I have it, and the color looks more washed out that way. So the color is looking pretty good at the moment. And I am having color problems with this one slightly at the moment, but it might be resolved when more layers go on. So, you're working back and forward with problems, issues in paintings all the time. Flower paintings are kind of tricky too. But the image from the person's photo that we got today of the roses, very good reference. Two very good reference photos, because I have one version that's cropped, and the other one is I don't think it's the full photo, but it's nearly the full photo. If you wanted to see the full photo, go on and look at that user on Unsplash. But it gives us nice definition to work with, very nice lighting in it, and good structure. So it'll help satisfy botanical urges and get me away from a few hours rest from this painting. But I'll be working in the same color range because the roses are a bit like the camellias in that they're that pinky color. But I'll show you what post I got today, will I? Seems how I did get post. This, I've been waiting for this to turn up forever. All the way from Praia da Luz, and that's not what took it so long. What took it so long, I think, was I was saying this on the journaling live stream. I think they had impounded this in the post office for weeks. This is my personal theory because it's a suspicious looking powder, a suspicious color and look and everything, you know. And the package it came in a really pretty little this thing, and then in another package. And I'm glad it had an outer package because by the time I got it, you can see all the powder inside there. That's how much had spilled out from that bag into the paper bag. So I had spent, you know, not a huge amount of money, but an amount of money on buying this pigment for painting with. That's what it is, folks. It's nothing else. And you know, I wouldn't have liked to lose half of it. So it turned up eventually, but I was lucky that I got. I don't know if any of the contents are missing, but I'd say I don't know whether sniffer dogs have been at it or what happened, but it was missing for weeks. So I'm looking forward to trying that as a layer on my painting. There's a lot of dry pigment in this painting. And when I do upload the video, you'll see how I mixed all the dry pigment up and everything. So I don't know what way we'll be doing the whether we'll be using only the dry pigment um for today's thing because it's a bit finicky. Might use um I don't know. I might use watercolor. I might use Himi wash. I'll see what the mood is. Here's the other thing that arrived today. Um, business cards. So I'm happy enough with those. And got to use little bits of one of my artworks and one of my illustrations on front and back. And of course, Donna Emerald Art is the name of my little company, which is on holiday at the moment. They're looking for ID verification on Etsy at the moment, and I thought they were spamming me. I thought they were spammers because there's a lot of spammers on every platform, but they weren't. So so they've been asking me to verify my ID, and some of the emails I was getting were going off to dubious sites, and I was going, no, I'm not leaving Etsy because Etsy is all supposed to be secure within Etsy, you see. The other things that I've gotten are seeds. Here's one of the. I was showing you this on the journal thing, and so this arrived in the post. I'm going great guns now with my scraps for scrapbooking, and this one I was showing you this in the journaling because this is going to be this was kind of an idea that I was working over this and it turned out unsuccessful at the bonus live of this, or maybe it was the Friday live. Reworking this picture, tracing it and doing it out again, and it didn't work very well. But I was saying during that live stream, I wanted to make a botanical sketchbook. So the other thing I've ordered that's going to come in the post is going to be um waxed thread for making that sketchbook because I'm going to make it a tall sketchbook for doing plant stems and everything are typically very tall. So I'm always running into this problem when I'm doing plants. Um, if it's something, that I want to do the stem and everything on, it has very interesting leaves coming out of it at different angles and different things happening on the way down the stem, that it really would be suited better than a sketchbook like this, which was perfect for doing this in. We did this on a live recently of the camellias. Um, that standardy kind of shape was fine for some things, but there are some things I want to do that I want to do really tall pictures of plants. And like that one could have benefited from being a taller page because I would have liked to get the whole stem in and the jar as well. So my new botanical sketchbook, I'm going to make that. So the wax thread is ordered for that to make it. I'm not going to make it live um, or upload a video because there's so many people showing you how to do that style of sketchbook or notebook, and it's Coptic stitch. I'm going to try. I haven't done that before for the binding, and that's nice because when the sketchbook opens, this little book opens okay only because there's only one what you call a signature or group of pages folded into it. But if you have something that has a few signatures going on, 4 or 5 even, sometimes you go to open it here, it doesn't stay open too handy. But a Coptic sketchbook, you don't have that problem at all because the way it's bound, it lays down very flat. And I think that would be very useful. I think I'd like that. So my bit of wax string is coming for that. But this arrived, and this was another journaling thing, gardening thing I was showing you about. And we're talking about flowers and everything for Valentine's Day. So I got vegetable things and got tips on how to get my roses to come along a bit better this year because I want to paint them. I think I don't know if my session with botanicals will go throughout the whole year, but it is very handy for bad weather. You know that I can go out to the garden, get something from the garden, bring it back in. So um, I am gonna make. I got a tip looking online when I was looking up things about best time to plant kale, which I just got in seeds in for yesterday. I learned how to make seaweed fertilizer for my roses because I have a beautiful, it's called a Gallica rose, which is purple rose. It's not quite like that, but it's a beautiful purple. Apparently, it's a very old rose. Um, they like, all roses like seaweed fertilizer sprayed on their leaves. It's good for them. And chicken poop is good for everything. So I'll have to get chicken poop pellets for my plants because I have things like tomatoes that need a lot of nourishment and have a totally new system of growing things in covered buckets like mini greenhouses this year. So I hope that will be successful. So that was my mail for today. And if you didn't get any mail, well, look at you're getting a bunch of roses, aren't you? And you gotta look after your own needs sometimes. So you might have to paint your own roses, or you can download that nice picture from that Unsplash user. But it's nice to do something for Valentine's Day, I think. And I'm trying to find Rome on the table here. Hang on. And St. Valentine is buried in Dublin. So, kind of feel obliged as well from that point of view to do something bonusy live streaming. Um, but he was a Roman, lived in Roman times, 3rd century, I think, and was put to death in a horrible way for marrying Roman couples on the wrong day or something like that. It was all very weird. But he just ended up in Dublin because I think some pope just donated his bits. They were very keen on keeping bits. So I think, bits like a vial of his blood is in Dublin. Now, so let's have a look at the reference material here. I've got a nice stone. Damn, nice. There you are. Nice stone. Um, so I'm going to go over to the community tab and get this image. So two images, right, on the community tab, and the first one is a very close up image, and the you can click on the image to expand, and you can do things like open it in a new window. So I don't know how much more you'll see of that image when it's expanded, but the second image, when it's expanded, you might see more of it. Now, I would say to you, well, I actually, if you wanted to practice drawing or painting, either or image would be quite good. And you know what? I'm tempted to start with not just pencil, but colored pencils. I have a slight problem with pencils when I'm drawing that viewers can't see what I'm doing in pencil all that well. So it's slightly wasted, in a way. And yet, if you're going to paint something, it's nice to do the underpainting in pencil, isn't it? And the thing about colored pencil that isn't great is that it doesn't rub out at all, or handy or at all. I'll tell you what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a little bowl or lid or something to pour my pencil into. Oh, we'll have something pretty. We're going to have pretty things today. In fact, um, I'm due to give myself more roses because I gave myself a whole bunch of roses um in my art journal, because you have to treat yourself. Because it's funny, when you get advertising doing its job, a lot of advertising and marketing is aimed at making you feel you have a need that needs to be satisfied, right? And we get bombarded with it, marketing messages. So what can happen to people on Valentine's Day is that they feel deprived if they don't get the things they're supposed to get. A bit like Christmas, if they don't get uh, the roses or some sort of a Valentine's present from a beloved one, um, and family members and all this, and then it becomes all competitive with other people. Well, what did you get and everything? Did you get more than me and everything? It's horrendous, the same vibe as Christmas, but that's all created by marketing companies, and you don't have to go for it. But a good antidote to these things is give yourself something nice. You see, love yourself. Don't love yourself, you're not going to love anything else, are you? And so, yeah, that's my message for today, I suppose, would be nature is lovely and loves you, gives you all this wonderful bounty, you know. So enjoy nature's bounty on Valentine's Day, and that's what we're doing with our roses here. Now, here's a thing, right? It took me 13 minutes to get to this point, but this is a bonus live stream, so it's all gravy and roses. Here's the thing, a trick with people who are specialists in doing botanical painting as opposed to just painters who paint flowers, right? Um, what a lot of them do is they paint the thing bigger than it actually is, because you can get at details easier. And I found I had some difficulty, mostly color difficulty, to be honest with you, with I'm gonna have to do more work on this, I think, to get the color zoomier than that. Um, to get at, like, if you have small little details on plants, to get at them, it can be difficult to work on scales like that. So if you bring it up a bit bigger, it makes it easier to work with. So that was my idea for the first drawing. Okay, now we're going to go with the pretty, 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 pretty thing today because it's Valentine's Day. So I'm going to indulge my. And the last watercolor, that was my problem with it. I went, it turned out too pretty. So this was from the last live stream, I think. And I didn't like how it turned out. And afterwards, um, I was over in somebody else's an art channel and in their comment section, and somebody was talking about this very thing. It's kind of art criticism, this, right? But it feeds into how you create art. And they were talking about the idea of prettiness in painting. And this person that was commenting was saying that, in their opinion, that a lot of things get rejected from art shows for being too pretty. And I got in and I made the argument. I said, no, you know what? I don't think probably a lot of the time they're not actually getting rejected for being too pretty. Now, I don't know how this person had the inside scoop on judges and art shows, you know, in the first place, or whether they were kind of some of it was off the top of their head. I don't really know. I don't know how they're. I don't know that many. I know a lot of artists, but I don't know that many art judges judging shows on a regular basis because they tend to not use the same judges all the time. But this person was saying that they knew, and that was why things were getting rejected. That modern art is not about, isn't about beauty, right? Now, that's an interesting thing to discuss. But I was saying, well, are you sure that, or could it be that the judges are actually rejecting things not because they're too pretty, but because they're just pretty? Their function is just to be pretty and maybe to look like other pretty pictures. Say florals are perfect for this. A lot of people would do roses or would paint a rose so that it looks like a typical rose, you know, somebody's idea of what a rose might look like, and that it looks pretty. And when they get to that point, it looks like a rose and it looks pretty, they go, right, that's a work of art now. Is it? Does that make something a good work of art? If we're talking about a good work of art or a bad work of art, can you talk about a good work of art or a bad work of art? That's art criticism you're getting into, you see. So I might go across 2 pages here in the interests of doing things big, but at the same time, I want to be able to fit it into the screen. And when I make my botanical notebook, I won't be indulging myself like this because there's no way it's all going to fit into the screen if it's a tall book. And ratio for videos are 16:9 across that way. It's landscape, isn't it? Not portrait. So there's no way. Um, and I'm going to try and make this squarish because the post on, oh, that's the wrong, oh, we've got the post on the community tab is square. So you see, even art, I was saying this, it's influenced by formats of social platforms now. For an artist like me who's making art on live streams sometimes and not just privately, speed of it gets influenced as well. I keep apologizing for taking so long over that painting, whereas it wouldn't be an issue if it wasn't like on social media. That would not be an issue. I could take months over painting, a year if I wanted to. Nobody would think it's weird, you know. Get the old washi tape out. So, yeah, things to think about if you're painting florals. What are you trying to do with it? Are you trying to get it to look like that particular flower? You're trying to get it to look like somebody's idea of a flower. Is it an illustration? Is it fine art? What is it? You know, you should be critiquing art all the time. Now, can I get that in? Just about, just about. Now, I have a bit on the right hand side, and that's handy because I like having space for testing my colours out on the paper. And this is another thing when I make that botanical journal. Um, it's not going to be on cream paper, it's going to be on white paper. And I'm more used to painting on cream paper at this stage and really like painting on cream paper. So I don't know how that's going to go. So we're starting off with the idea of doing this bigger than an actual rose, okay? So I'm trying to fit the whole thing on screen, and I mightn't have, I might actually, to get it on screen, I have to right click on the image and open in a new tab. And it's a very handy way to look at things because if you have a scroll on your computer, sorry, I have to lean across, you hold down control and see, can I have a middle scroll? And with your middle scroll, you see you can scroll in and out. So it's quite a lot of green down the way I cropped the photo. I left quite a lot of green down the bottom. But what we don't even have a whole rose in this. But I thought it was a nice thing to draw and paint because it's got a lot of rhythm and movement and life in it. Okay, so I think you can just about see my pencil drawing here, hopefully. So there's my overall composition. I'm not going to go really crazy with the leaves and go all the way down, but I am going to do a bit. And those leaves are blurry, and that could be a disadvantage if you wanted to have a hyper focused area like this. This is the most focused area in this whole painting, and then other areas are a bit blurrier, or I want to have a bit blurrier. I haven't got the painting that far advanced to be able to do that yet. But in this one, I like it as an effect. It's a very good photo to work with, you see. So we've got some structural things going on that we can put in straight away, like the leaf. So I'm doing that, and I have a nicely sharpened pencil. I don't want to be doing this with a blunt topped pencil. It just, the drawing always looks yucky, I think, if you do that. So just maybe be aware of that if you've never, that's not occurred to you before. Now, there's a weird thing happening with the leaf when you look at it, kind of a weird double stem thing going on, and I don't really know what's going on with that. That's where it would be really nice if I had the leaf in front of me to check, well, what's that other area of blurry pale blue here about? But I don't know. So I can't check. So that's the good thing about working from more than a photo. So I have a few veins to work with. So I'm going to get great practice at doing structure here, but I'm also going to get great practice at doing color because there are a few different colors going on in this leaf. And I'm finding now for this kind of work, a very relaxed focus is very helpful, but depending on how much detail you want to get into something and how accurate you want to be in your drawing of it, it's very tiring type of work. And I have huge admiration for, um, see, even there, I could have gone up a bit higher with that and could have benefited from it. I've huge admiration for specialist botanical artists, and I think her name was Sandy Sanders, Rosie Sanders. I was looking at. There's a two-part thing of her. I have to finish it yet. I'll add it to. I think I might have the first part added to my painting playlist. I don't know, but I will add it to the playlist if I don't already have it. Um, about her painting um, flowers and things, and on a huge scale, but cropped as well in really interesting ways. So she uses cropping to advantage. And of course, when we were doing the other day, when we were looking at, if I have an example here, I suppose this could be a good example. When we were doing scrapbooking the other day or journaling, I was looking at all these scraps and I was saying, look at the way this thing is cropped or that thing is cropped. Isn't that lovely the way they cropped that just, to show just that area? So the cropping of painting as well is part of what adds to the vibrancy of it. Are you going to include the whole flower? You want to include everything, the roots and everything, or are you going to just crop it and have some of it there? Now we have to get a few things in the right position here. So we're going working from the general to the particular, as we often do. So we have a few lovely curves coming in from the edge, and I don't want to get into loads of detail. I want to get vaguely the positioning of them right. So I'm gonna work very lightly in pencil to do that. It's not bad. And then I'm going to look at the overall structure as I'm putting these in because there are, when you think about it, there are circles and circles and circles going inwards. The center of this particular rose is here somewhere. And I did get this wrong in the camellias and had to change it a couple of times. So, you know, these are all learning curves. And then sometimes there are some mistakes you just keep making over and over. That's life, isn't it? And whatever we do, do not sit around on Valentine's Day and think about your romantic mistakes, because none of those were mistakes either. They were just adventures in life, weren't they? So we have this. Yeah, this should be down further, bigger, 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 bigger. And I want my rubber, as we say in Ireland. Don't snigger. Don't snigger, Americans. Now, so I'm having difficulty going to this scale to start with for drawing because my mind knows a rose isn't this size. But I'm just, if I think of it as just a system of curves, that's, I can work with that, okay? So I have a dark area in here. And you see the way I can keep modifying what I'm already doing. And I'm traveling across because I'm trying to get the scale of particular leaves right in relation to each other. And I shan't be playing the Goldberg variations because um, YouTube decided it was somebody's copyrighted work, which they allow you to play quite often, you know, once you're not monetized. Oh, speaking of which, I got 500 subs on my other channel now. That's the other thing I'm celebrating today on Valentine's Day. A lovely present, you see. But I won't be monetizing it or anything. But, that reminded me of it because you're allowed monetize once you get 500 subs. That's the Scab Up channel, and it's hobbies. Other hobbies that aren't that I sort of think, well, that wouldn't exactly fit into maybe art. In my mind, um, art is a little bit fluid in the kind of activities I do that feed into my art practice, if you like. But I mean, obviously, I don't classify everything, every activity as art, just arty lifestyle. Here we go. Trying to stay loose here because I don't want it to be another week's long painting. I want this to be a painting that relaxes me from doing the really difficult focused painting. Now, I am still having difficulty getting across to here, so I have to come all the way over here in order to work my way back to over here, if you see what I mean. Uh, and I've got four leaves there. So, what is your favorite romantic film if you are forced to have to watch a romance tonight? If you're a fella, and you're because there's not many fellas would opt to watch a romance themselves any night, let alone Valentine's night. But it earns you brownie points, I suppose. So, what film would it be? Don't say Die Hard. I don't think that counts as a romantic film. Because I want to tell you mine, you see. And I just thought of it yesterday because I nearly did the thumbnail from that film, very nearly. And then I thought, oh no, there's probably copyright on that and somebody might strike. So, but I think I would have gotten away with it. But I thought people mightn't get the reference, so I just showed the lovely roses. Um, it is Hitchcock's Rear Window. And I would totally recommend that film, whether you're a fella or a girl, if you want to watch a film with somebody tonight. And it's, gotta be a Valentine's night type of film. I think that's a terrific one that either a girl or a fella would enjoy. But then I don't maybe have mainstream tastes, so take that into account and don't blame me. But Rear Window is Hitchcock films. They're always got some element of mystery, haven't they? But that's a good one for Valentine's night because there's a kind of a love theme in it, and some brilliant characters in it. And for I think it appeals to me as an artist. Am I doing the right one here? I've lost track. This is the thing. I lose track of where the folds are at a particular stage. I might start painting soon in order to just start seeing where I am better. Do some of the work in paint. You see, you could be a day or so just doing this bit, but we don't want to be because we just want a little bit of practice. And that is the front of that petal. So yeah, there's it's rear window because there's a block of apartments facing another block of apartments, and James Stewart is laid up with a broken leg. He's a photographer laid up with a broken leg, and sees things, sees mysterious things in the other apartments. You see, I'm going to start painting now because you get sick of watching me drawing all the time. I have to be exciting for the live stream. I need to be more exciting. 500 subs on the other channel and absolutely nothing happening on this channel. Um, a few viewers turn up now and again and then go off again and presumably watch something more exciting. I don't know. But this is as exciting as I care to be. This is exciting. These but the viewers I have, I love. So that's why these are all getting roses. And I hope you like pink ones. I'm looking for my little wipey cloths. I brought these things. They're called J cloths over here. They're just little household absorbent cloths. And I bought a little roll of them, cheap. Can't find them. I have to get new ones. Okay, so this is where I have to make decisions about what I'm using. I don't want to switch to jelly gouache because I have to do a rethink, and I'm still in the zone for the other uh, camellia painting, which is kind of my primary important painting at the moment. So I gotta keep working with that. In fact, I'll show you the materials I was working with. That is, it's actually violin glue, but it's made from gelatin or some sort of animal sourced glue. Let's test the color, and that is a dry pigment. You see that I mix with it. I could have made watercolors. So we're going very red on just outlines of edges of things here. And this is kind of where the edges of leaves um, meet kind of like um, the petal going into depths, you see. So here's the back a little bit. Now, I can do lots of things here, and it occurred to me that I can even um, go into, well, I could if I could find it. I could even go into my watercolor markers for this if I wanted to, and get a sort of a more pinky mix in there if I wanted to. Or you see, I don't have in these watercolors, I don't have a really a very alizarin color. What they give you for alizarin is kind of a purpley color, right? And it's a lovely color, and it does dry slightly differently, but it's not a particularly warm red. So if I heat it up with their sort of cadmium red, it improves a bit, but it's still not the right pink. So what I have, and this happens a lot for pink flowers, if you're into painting pink flowers, is there are a few colors that are very helpful. Permanent rose is one of the very helpful colors. Okay. The other very helpful color is opera rose, which I don't think I have actually. I thought I did buy it at some stage. Did I? No. See, I bought a whole load of colors trying to figure these things out. But now, if you look here, this is what I was doing earlier. I had dry pigment. I had a little bit of the binder, which was a gelatin binder, and I had my watercolor. I was having to mix them all to get the color I wanted, and I was getting my pinks out of that. You see, so some of the pinks I can get with that, not all of them. So you might have to do quite a lot of work to get the color you want. And there's another thing you might have to do, and that is when you come down here, things can happen to the color at the edge of a leaf. So let's have a look at this one. And I'm sorry I'm not moving fast on this, but I see what I'm doing is not trying to get it to look like any little flower. I'm trying to get the specifics of this specific flower. And so, for example, I'm coming along and doing things like saying, well, I don't like the edge of this leaf. It's not quite where I want it to be. I'm changing it. There's no generalizations going on. Now, I could make generalizations if I want to, but I have to choose where I want them. Um, so this is why it's taken me a while to do it. And watch people like Rosie Sanders if you find this interesting. This kind of very focused work interesting. have a look at the way they work. Botanical artists work. They're just amazing. Just amazing. Uh, I'm not, but you know, I didn't say I was, did I? So things might happen as you go the edge of the flower. You can get the color. It doesn't happen on this particular one here. The color can warm up towards the edge. This is quite a cold, alizarnish red. It's actually the pink I'm working with there, but you can also get some blues turning up in it as well. Now, the way you could deal with those is um, layering. You see, if it's watercolor, you can layer, or you can mix directly. But to get a shadow in something, if you mix, we were talking about using opposites. Now, this is watercolor, so well, I can actually add white gouache if I lose the white on the edge, so it's not too bad. But I'm going to kind of go up to where the area of white is in my mind, because that's really where it is, isn't it? So, what a wonderful present this is to give yourself the present of painting roses for Valentine's Day, because you are giving yourself a reminder of how beautiful nature is and how grateful we can be that we have so many beautiful things. I'm so happy about the camellias, the frost not having gotten at all those camellias, because I'm still getting, if you look at this, I'm still getting quite a lot of them nice and fresh. They were picked this morning, and even a few red ones. They only have been blooming for the last few years, but I'm very pleased to see them, very pleased. Now, I have some white pigment added, so it's the same thing. It's a titanium white pigment, dry pigment I have added. So it's this basically the same thing as adding a white gouache, but you can get gouache in little tubes like this that are quite handy for watercolors. There's a China white, usually comes with um, your traditional English sort of style watercolor. But it tends to be not, the watercolor tends to be not very strong. So if you want a stronger mix, gouache can be lovely. And these new brushes that I have, I'm slowly working my way into more of them. If you see, I have my three favorites out. Where's my, this one was my first favorite brush, a little stabby sort of head on that one. And then I started liking that one a lot for doing little thin lines. It does very thin lines. And now I like this one as well for slightly less thin lines. So we're getting some pinks going on. We don't have that lovely vibrancy of the flower yet, but that happens from getting the transition of color. And then the vibrancy of line happens from getting your drawing nice and vibrant. And I'm adding a tiny bit of a warmer red in to this to go right into the fold in some parts. And just in this sketchbook, my botanical sketchbook would be very interesting, because this sketchbook, I love the cream, but the pages crinkle that little bit. They dry out, not too bad, mind you, for something that's just a thin sketch pad. Now that's quite nice, and I haven't gone quite up to the edge of that leaf because I'm going to work back out with the white to blend. But I'm going to come out here, and I've got my crinkly bit, but I have a little bit of the outside leaf to go. And hopefully you're in close enough to be able to see that in good detail. Now, out here is going to be a green. So I'm going to come in with my other small brush and just put in a little bit of green so we can see what we're dealing with. And some of the greens in this set I really love. This is kind of, I think they call it a shadow. That one is beautiful. That's just so lovely. So we're going to come down here, and that will help us establish the outside. I have a pencil mark there, but it'll help us establish the outside of that and the color as well. So the color is moving along kind of at the same time as the drawing of it. And now I'm using the brush as a drawing tool. So there's an idea, and it's something I had difficulty with in watercolor. I still do. Like I don't want to ever be talking like I'm an expert in things. I'm not. I'm just learning like everybody else. But even after so many, I've been painting for very many years, but I'm still learning. Still a lot to learn. And some days I think, oh, I haven't learned anything. Some days I think, oh, I'm coming along a bit. And then I slip back, and by the end of the day, think, oh, I'm useless. But this is part of the perfectionism of being an artist, and it's okay to be like. And you know what the trick is to still enjoy it, not kind of be too attached to the results. Just enjoy. For this, I'm enjoying the beauty of nature and really just living in it. You know what I mean? That's half the trick is getting your focus right. You know, the rest might be skill, but I think a lot of it starts with getting the focus right. And then a lot of it is also uh, getting your fluidity right in what if it's watercolors. Being able to control a line by adding more water or less. Look what happens to the line when I don't have a lot of color loaded. I'll show you here. Look what happens to the line when I have a lot of water. It's more spready. But if I have not as much water, look, there's a dry line that's a bit too dry. So let's go in between, put a little bit on, and then just touch my touch the tip of my brush to the absorbent thing. And I like that look. I could draw all day with that. So that's handy. A little bit of drawing and then, blending outiness. So there's this very careful kind of moving along with watercolor. And always testing along the side. You might want to get a lot of people work with that blobby bleed kind of thing, but a lot of botanical artists avoid that a lot just because there's not a lot of control in that, is there, when you look at it? So, if I want to emphasize the side of that, um, a little bit that runs down the center of the leaf and have it quite sharp in delineation. I'm not going to use a really wet pen, am I? Now, the other thing is how wet or dry something is, obviously, is important. I'm going to have to wait for that to dry unless I want to soften this edge here. You see, I could soften it very slightly doing that. But even at that, I'm wiping a little of the moisture off just on my fingers there. So it's a very controlled way of doing watercolor. And I did this to a certain extent when I was doing that little cozy ant house book. I did a lot of that in this sketch pad, but not as much because That was a pen and wash. And sorry, I'm losing track of where I am. So I want this slightly darker. And with the pen and wash, you do your drawing in ink, and then you wash it a bit. So it's a bit more like this. You can get away with that kind of amount of water and things in some places, and being a bit more, not slapdash, but you know what I mean if I say slapdash, then you can in this. Because I'm doing some of the drawing with the paint in this. And I have that weird little bit here, and I'm going to add more of the white pigment. That could be gouache, it just happens to be dry pigment because that's what I was working with the camellias. Yeah, might even get around to cutting out the covers and gluing the images on the cover for that botanical sketch pad tonight. I am going to use the lovely Japanese book I was showing you of botanical 17th century botanical paintings because it's a good use of those. Remember, I said I couldn't bear to cut them up, but I can for that because it is scrapbook paper and it's a scrap. I actually bought it as scrapbook paper. It's called scrapbook paper. And I thought it was too nice to cut up. But now that I have a book that I would be using regularly, I'd be looking at the picture still. So the picture won't be tucked in a journal somewhere, only getting occasionally seen. Now, I'm going to be doing this big leaf here, which is much brighter and is going to set the color for the other leaf. You're probably guessing by now I'm not going to get the whole rose finished. No, 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 dear viewer. If you want a bunch of roses, you're going to have to paint them yourself. But at least, you have that nice user in Unsplash give you the use of the photo of the roses. And I'm a bit mean. I didn't actually give them a donation, but the interface, I'm not as used to the interface of Unsplash as Pexels. It's very easy to donate on Pexels. But Unsplash, I find weird. Maybe it shows better on on a phone or something because on a laptop it looks even the user's name looks really tiny and you have trouble reading it, zooming it in to read it. So I don't think the interface is even possibly even designed for desktop. I'm not sure. Now you got all sorts of funny rules happening there. So it's handy if you do have two brushes because you can just come in and you know go into the darker spots. And so far, we're not doing anything with blues at all. It's just two different pinks, isn't it? So, well, there are a lot of pinks in this. And we've gone lighter, generally speaking, than some parts of the photo. And it looks like we haven't been very brave, but it's watercolor again. So it's very easy to get an area too dark. And actually, with my camellias, I have that problem. I have an area too dark, and it might only be fixable with acrylics at this stage. I might have just gone beyond the point where it can recover. I keep trying to do a layer of white again, um, and then do watercolor over it to try and recover it, but I'm not sure I can get what I want in it. What I'm doing here is looking at little folds and things, and this fold here is quite dark. but it's also very almost black. So you don't have a black in this watercolor set, but you do have that shadow color, right? And if I grab some of my pink, and you might find maybe an extra mixing surface. This isn't the cleanest, and it's got some of that dried glue on it, which comes out again heated, but it's not ideal. So I need some red in there. So that's how I got my dark red. So it's a dark bluey green, that shadowy green color with red for the darks. So I'm going to go and look for some of the folds here. So on the outside of that, got another fold. Then we've got this one. So in other words, we had done mid-tones and another tone between darkest tone, if we call this the darkest tone. So we've done another tone between the mid-tone and the darkest tone, and then we've done another lighter tone, which isn't showing up very well over the mid-tone pink yet because the mid-tone pink isn't dry. So this way of painting, it would dry quicker on watercolor paper, I have to admit, but this way of painting sort of encourages you to slow down a bit. And that's what we want to do for Valentine's Day, slow down and enjoy life. And I want to get some more green in. And I think it's worth my while showing you this. This is, anyway, the year of going slowly for me. All right, no hurry, my no hurry year. But it's worth me showing you these things slowly for color mixing, you see. I love that green. It's kind of browny as well. For color mixing purposes, it's you start getting good at A, seeing color, B, replicating what you're seeing. So again, this is observational painting that we're doing, not making stuff up that we don't see. Now that's a very heavy color, so what a good botanical painter would do, which I'm not saying I am, would be take a bit of the color off the brush and do a little bit of blendy. And actually, there is some more blue in there. So if I go more into the blue range, you see how I'm getting better at seeing the color. And this set has some lovely greens in it. So it's such a pleasure. They do dry out a little lighter, and it would take a while to get used to this set if you were working with ordinary watercolors. But just some of the greens are just so yummy. And this color here, I'm leaving it because I have to wait for it to dry, and then I'm gonna do the thing I'm gonna show you down here. So you see how even within one green, you can build quite a few colors. And the scale that I'm using here with this brush, I'm using drawing skills. Look, I have the watercolor just the thickness I want to be able to kind of draw with it, you know. So I'm drawing the thing fairly light first, and then I'm gonna come in. And leaves aren't easy, you know. So typically afterwards, you would come in with if you decided that was and it isn't actually that yellowy, but some of the ones down this side have little touches of yellow in them. This one is actually slightly more paler bluey, but I had a little bit of what they're calling that pea green in it there. So there's quite a blue color there. So the colors aren't, necessarily going to be what you expect either. And when the thing is dry, it's not going to be conducive to blending so much with other bits. So I'm going to come up here and put in some of the bluey color to show you that how the greens can be quite different in different areas. And that is such a lovely uh, bluey green against that foresty green. I love it. And then there are kind of it's that hasn't dried yet, so I can keep blending. There are little modulated bits of darker green that are a lovely kind of blotchy pattern against the blue, and some darker blue bits as well. Let's just test it out here. I'm going to just play. This one doesn't even have a green in it. It's just blue. Now I want to control that a bit as it's trying to dry. I want to control the way it spreads. So this is that edge there, and that leaf is out of focus, you see, in the camera. So the camera tries to emulate the way we see, but I kind of looked up things about this, and we don't actually see. We do selectively see things in different focus, right? But we don't really do it the way a camera does it. Now I have reverted to that pink. That's what did we say it was? Permanent rose. And then if you have a look at this, if I do a little bit of permanent rose on my brush, but don't really add much water at all, I can come in here and do a little outline, hopefully, and get some of the intensity of the pink. So some of the intensity of the pink then in these bits here. And again, we're still trying to control the amount of water and being going at it fairly gingerly, to in order to do that. Um, and you might start noticing modulations in color when you get to this stage of focus, really, because I find when my concentration gets better, I start seeing more, and I'm seeing more orangey browny, pale orangey browny colors in here with the pink. But I am going to generalize and do a little wash first, and then explore that more orangey in here. So it's more cadmium, you know. So you'll find that you have something turning as the shape moves. over something, you'll have the color moving from a cool to a warm, maybe. And then some bits like that, if you want to keep the crispness of the fold, if you like, in the thing, you might have to wait for them to dry before you fill that in. But I can fill in up to here to my pink. That's okay. 'Cause I just don't want in those foldy bits, I don't want them to bleed out. So I'm just going to give it a second to settle. And I'll show you how the white wash goes in on that, because we can stick a bit of white wash in now. We don't want the whites to be completely white. They're very, very pinky white. So it's this is not the dry pigment. This is just a tube, and I've mixed it with a bit of pink. And we're looking to follow some of the edges of this. Oh, the edges are a bit raggedy on them, and that's part of their charm. Okay. So basically, see the way that's trying to bleed in there now, because that was the wet bit of paint I just put on. That's not necessarily a desirable thing, but I can. It's not bad enough that I have to really lash in there and do something. It just I'll wait a minute and then go back and figure it out. So now when I come around with my edge, white edge for this, I can see that this bit of pink isn't subtle enough. It needs to be graduated, mixed a bit more. But I can go and fill in a bigger area of pale pink here. And I've got these lovely, gonna actually just draw that in with the, I've got lovely folds there happening. Aren't they nice? And I'm gonna use that to get me over here. And part of the thing I want to try and achieve with these is a nice grace in the line, fluency, if you like. And sometimes that's easier to get if you do something fast. Uh, you might lose out to accuracy sometimes doing that. That's the only drawback of doing it. But if you can see where the thing is, doing it in a pencil or something in a quick swoop can give you a much nicer line, maybe, than just doing a little. See the way I'm doing it, kind of filling in hesitantly there. Um, so this, all the stuff I'm talking about here, they're all different skills you're trying to balance. And another painter on YouTube I absolutely love. Um, Her name is, she's a watercolorist and botanical watercolorist, and her name is Anna. It's something like Buccielli or something like that. Uh, she does flowers very well. She does seashells and things, and she does very sort of colorful renditions of them. But there's fantastic light and shade and how light falls on the thing, and that is a challenge for me. Um, to get lighting looking really good and natural. Now I'm in the center of the rose here, trying to get a kind of an important bit of structure that gives a lot of vibrancy to the painting, because there's a curve like that, And you'll find this a lot in roses. And then this. And this part of it here is the underneath of the petal. And then you're going to have a bit of very strong, very pale pink here. And then you're going to have, and it's quite, this time it's the, the warm red again, with maybe a little bit of the cooler pink in, tiny bit, in behind it. So there's the edge, the leaf, and there's this wonderful tension in little areas like that that your eye kind of delights in. And that's what happens when you get a bunch of roses from your favorite YouTuber on Valentine's Day. Your eye delights in it. Or if you want to be flowery about it, mine eye delighteth in it. And that's what's happening. All those every little undulation and little crease is an opportunity for your eye to delight. And when you do observational drawing or painting, because you have to have drawing skills in this type of painting, um, your eye is engaged in, and your hand engaged in, um, delighting in how amazing and beautiful all the shapes and interlockingnesses of things in nature are. And you just end up going, wow. And being that kind of a painter that likes going into, really looking at details of things and everything, it blows your mind, man. It really blows your mind. You'll never need drugs. I'm only saying that to persuade the customs people for that, so I can order things like that again. Yeah, it's um, it's exciting. So that is such a strong pink that even when I'm putting a lot of white in with it, it's still keeping traces of pink. So that's like the lightest white in that little spot there. And then I'm doing it in other little spots where the leaf is curving around. And I am taking time to really enjoy it as well. So, I mean, possibly my botanical sketchbook, when I make it, will have quite a lot of unfinished things in it, because it is a slow method of working. It's not like sort of an impression of a rose or anything like that. It's really it's kind of a drawing exercise and a color mixing exercise all rolled into one in a really fun, engaging way, but one that takes a lot of focus as well. So I think it's a nice thing to do, but I don't know if I'll have that many sort of, very finished looking paintings in that sketchbook. But I do like the idea of keeping them all together in the sketchbook, because I think I would really enjoy flipping through that sketchbook. There is a thing with sketchbooks, and this is the very handy thing about keeping your stuff in sketchbooks, maybe, as opposed to just working on loose sheets of paper all the time, which is a totally viable option as well. You can kind of see your progress in a sketchbook sequentially. You can see if you're getting any better. I can see a lot of progress in my sketchbooks from a couple of years ago. How I'm really, I might think I'm getting nowhere at the time, but then a few years later, definitely with the landscape stuff, a few years later, I saw it first in the sketchbooks. There were a couple of things I was doing last summer that I saw the progress in sketchbooks suddenly. And it gave me heart, I can tell you, because there's nothing worse than, well, there are lots of things worse, but it's not great for the ego of a painter when you don't see progress for quite a while. It can bring you down a bit because you go, my goodness, I focus so hard and I'm working so hard here, and I don't seem to be getting any better. I'm still having the same problems, still haven't solved the same problems coming up all the time, and I just don't feel like I'm improving at all. But sometimes improvement isn't a slow, gradual thing. It can be sudden, and sometimes it is slow and gradual, and you don't see it. So it's very, very useful looking back to see, where you're at. So far, we have not had to get too involved with blues in this. I can see some bits are cooler than other bits, but I haven't had to get the blue out for this. Like in here, in this little fold, I could get a pale blue out in the mix, or I could glaze a blue over it. But I'm actually just sort of getting away with just using the pink. So I'm going to at least try and get the rest of this rose drawn in. And for some viewers, this content wouldn't be gripping, okay? But for somebody um, wanting drawing, just tips really, um, or mixing tips for watercolors, it could be very useful, you see. But also, I think it's nice for people to see that not all artwork is done really quickly. And I'm always going on about the kind of focus needed. And I must say that the one thing I'm really pleased about with that camellia painting is that I thought I would be at the stage now where I would be starting to get sick of it. And instead, I find that I'm just at the stage where I'm starting to be able to focus very well on it. Now, that won't last forever because human beings like change. They like to change things up every once in a while. But I'm in the golden sweet spot at the moment in terms of focus with that one. And this is why I didn't even want to change medium today very much. I get it very deep. Get going there. There's some colors I just can't get with that palette because it's a muted pastels palette. So let's see how we're doing time wise. 1:23. You see, I'm very long. Now you see the way the white has, to a certain extent, sunk there into the pink. That's because a lot of that stuff is still wet. But when it's dry, you get a very pale pink and do your edges, and it starts lifting the bits. But you can also do little mini crinkles, and this is why this is a really good reference photo, because you can see every little crinkle in this thing. So you can put in as much of that um, I might finish this on Friday, actually. How would that be? Um, I can put in as much of this detail as I want. So it's not completely white we're going into now, you see, with this. It's still the pink, but it's just such a pale version of it. And then we can come back and modify other areas and go in towards the dark bits. So it's this kind of back and forth happening with it. And I'm going to go into a. See how handy the bit down the side of the page is. So I'm going to go back into this whirly bit here. And I've had that picture so long on my screen that the screen is dark. I don't know why I had this bit. What was I doing there? It's coming down there. You can lose track of where you were in the drawing, you see. More bits coming down there. I have another whirly bit coming in there. So that's the depth of it. I'm not going super dark with that yet because I don't want to overshoot how dark it should be. Because you have that kind of problem with something very delicate like a rose that you don't want to be too harsh early on because you'll have problems with it not looking overworked. And I have had moments with the camellia painting already where I'm saying, oh God, it's getting overworked. And then I sort of book up and say, no, I don't think it is yet, actually. I think we're hanging in there okay. So, see, there's cool pinks and a warmer pink, all in the same vicinity. Cool pink. And, you know, I think the general rule about that one is that as it goes into the depths, it's a warmer pink. But once it gets in to the depth of the depth, you've got a kind of an alizarin, which is a cool pink. So you have to decide how much of the complexity you're putting in, but as a painting and drawing exercise, it's so worth doing. It really is so worth having a go. And this is why I did a cropped area of it. Because imagine if I tried to extend this out to all the roses. It's a dreadfully difficult, um, time consuming uh, painting if you're going to go with this process of doing it and not just, be, oh yeah, roses are kind of pink and they kind of have whirly bits in them. I'll just do that. You know, that's not really the kind of painting we're doing at the moment here. We're trying for something else. Whether we get it or not, I don't know. But um, I suppose you could say maybe you will eventually. Might take a lifetime. I certainly haven't mastered flowers yet. I haven't done that many flowers, to be honest. In my life, I have painted flowers before, but I love this bit. Look how interesting that little bit is with the little curvy patterns. It's just delightful. And then there's another little knobbly bit, and then comes into another knobbly bit there. So you see the way this is a drawing bit here I'm doing. You're drawing with the paint. And if I didn't have the fluidity, right, I wouldn't have a hope of doing that. And this, dear viewer, is probably how you get rid of most of your viewers. By not doing the flashy, let's do a painting in 10 minutes and you'll have a flower at the end of it. This is how to paint a flower. But there's all kinds of different sorts of painters, isn't there? This is the sort I am. And this bit here is quite difficult for me because I'm losing where I am. I have my knobbly bit. It's just dark. I made up an extra bit there that does not exist. And you'd think that wouldn't matter, but sometimes it can matter because you're trying to get the overall rhythm and the way the whole thing hangs together right. And you can't because you've got some little fecky bit in the middle messing it up on you. So we'll continue on with this on Friday. And, you'll still have the reference there. And if anybody wanted to start this one working from the reference, because nice reference photos for painting from can be quite hard to get. Uh, so that's a lovely reference photo, I think, to work from. And if you wanted to start that, you can see on Friday then how we get along with the next bit. Or if you're not finished it by Friday yourself, bring it along and we'll work away together on it. I don't know, maybe I should upload a little bit more music that I can put on. I'm trying to stay away from Goldberg's variations for the moment. You'd be sick of it anyway. I played it to death. How could you get sick of Goldberg's variations? What a dreadful thing to say. It's like saying, I'm sick of roses. How could you be sick of roses? So, yeah, have a lovely rest of Valentine's Day and have something nice to eat. I wasn't able to get my favorite chocolate actually the last time I went out, so I don't know what I'm gonna do for kicks today. But I know what I'll do. I'll make a little muffin with I think I had blueberries and I have raspberries. So I'll have a blueberry and raspberry muffin for Valentine's Day, you see, because I love myself. And I think it's nice to have a treat. It's time to do something nice. And I'm delighted I got really nice mail today. But if you didn't get mail, congratulate yourself, because if you didn't get mail, you didn't get bills, did you? So I've still got a few bits gone a bit awry here. I'd like to get this bit of drawing right before I call it a day. Get to a certain stage of drawing. I have some red mixed up in that, but it's a deader kind of red. But some of the outlines up on this part are quite a dead color. The other thing you can do, and actually I have dirty water there now, it's not clean anymore, is get a little bit of water on your brush and pick back out things. That won't work when it's completely dry, but it'll work before. So, where's the rest of my red? So I am still in the camellia mood, so I'll probably go back to doing my camellias. That washi tape will stay on the edge of my painting for Friday. And I like the washi tape because if you get a nice washi tape, that's not too sticky. Uh, you've preserved your borders a little bit, and I don't mind using a really fancy one the day that's in it. So I'm just trying to do tiny bit more here. So you can see the structure of the overall thing before I go. But I do think I have it maybe a little bit more camellia in me today. I don't know. Doesn't matter if I don't, because I'm doing this thing that I'm always talking about, staying in touch with the painting. You can't lose touch with the painting when you're doing it, or you lose interest. That's really what I mean by staying in touch with it. But there's also another thing, and the other thing is that sorry. The other thing is, what is it? Sorry, I got waylaid by what I was doing there. I thought, oh, have I come too far down? But I don't think I have actually. There's that bit. Um, I don't know what the other thing is. I know the first thing was losing touch with the painting, which isn't good. Oh yeah, I know what the other thing is. The other thing is when you start not enjoying it, when you start not enjoying it, it's okay to have problems during a painting, right? And to work your way through the problems. But when you start, s- you know, a part of your mind you realize is saying to yourself, I'm starting to hate this painting. Um, and you're having difficulty facing painting it. If it's getting to that, consider not continuing. Otherwise, continue and learn something, even if the painting isn't turning out well yet, and you go, oh, it's an awful painting. If you think you can go on with it and learn something useful from it, do. Now, the last week's painting, I didn't like it, and I was going to go on with it because I thought it might get interesting again. And then when I looked at it, I went, you know what? I can't even make myself care enough about it to want to go on with it. So that's when you know to stop, isn't it? On a painting. If you can't care enough about it to go on with it, even, and the thought of it bores you to tears, don't. But there can be sometimes a bit of a disease going with people that they stop all the time. So you have to watch out and say to yourself, oh, hang on now. Am I doing this not going on thing again as a, just a bit of an excuse? Could I go on? Now, look at how dark that is. That's actually a green and red mixed. And there are some points that things get that dark, but I didn't want to put that in until I had established where things are. So now you can see it, and you can see a bit more oomphiness coming into the painting. You might say, but it doesn't look like rose yet. Still, after an hour and a half. Uh, Such is life. It mightn't look like a rose for another 4 days. I don't know. Ah, will though. To me, it looks like a rose. It's an arrangement of shapes, and it definitely looks like an arrangement of shapes. A rose is an arrangement of shapes, isn't it? You know, definitely looks like that. But it's not a rushed rose. That bit there, I might have rushed that a little bit too much because so you see the way you can do things like go on the edge of your brush, depending what sort of brush you have. These brushes, I love them, the Chinese style brush. And you can do all sorts of tricks with them you can't do with other brushes that turn out to be really handy things, like that going on the side thing. It's pretty darn handy. And there's such a sensitive thin point on them as well. Fantastic. Love it. Now I'm going to get some of that lovely warm color in here again for this bit before it dries. So you kind of have to keep going back to bits that, make sure you have particular bits right before the thing dries and it becomes more difficult to control. Like if I wanted to pick out, whoops, I dripped on that there. If I wanted to pick out a bit of color, I'd be better off doing it before it dries, wouldn't I? Just easier to do. And okay, so I have kind of the main areas in. This is me in the lead up to leaving. There's always this bit at the end. I'm really hungry now for something lunchish to happen, and that'll be where I'll try and get my muffin in. It'll be an oatmeal muffin. It's a big treat. And I'm off sugar at the moment, so there won't be sugar in it. But like there's sugar in fruit. Keep seeing all these videos where people are talking about sugar-free desserts and things like that, and I just pile in the fruit. And everybody goes, "Wow, I'm so going to have that because there's no sugar in it." That's sugar. What are you on about? Okay, so this is the nice undulating thing again, but to see where one undulation meets the other one is tricky because I'm trying to get this one to meet up with this one. That's not easy. In the right place. This is a little bit too far over, you see. I'll have to tell some lies here. So there's gonna be times you have to tell a few lies, here and there. But they can't be so big that you can't figure out how to get from here to there in a meaningful way, you see. So there's only a certain amount of lie to do. Do 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 do. That was a bit daring of me. That mix. This is correct. Don't know, it might be a bit warm. And I'm gonna go with the edge of the leaf here. And I want to make sure that I don't lose too much of this outside structure here, by going slightly wrong here. I have to be a bit careful about that. So this little shape here is going to lead me to my next bit of structure. And then I'm going to sort of draw back in. Phew, I'm in shot. For a moment there, I thought, oh my God, I've gone out of shot. So that was a little bit, that was. Oh, this is actually, you know what this is like? A folding cloth. Cloth behaves rather similarly to a rose structurally. So you would get the same great opportunities to draw out of. I'm trying to soften up that edge a little bit because I don't want it harsh. You get the same opportunities to draw with a bed sheet or something like that. The amount of times I've practiced drawing with using a bed sheet. It's a good trick. That's it. Looking for things around you that are can be good opportunities to bring your skills up. So all that was to get me over there. So let's hope that worked. Now up here there should be, so we've got the undulating shape, and you can see the focus it takes me just to get from, like maybe some other genius out there, it wouldn't cost them the same effort, but definitely for me, yes, I'm in the right place. Because I wanted to come up there, up to here, and then down to here. And I wasn't 100% sure that was going to happen. But now I can celebrate because, and oh no, oh no, no, there are two of them. I saw what I thought was this little undulating shape there, and I thought, oh no, I have it in the wrong place. But there are two, and that's what's so wonderful about this rose, the rhythms of the rose. There's rhythm number one. My rose is that petal which joins, hallelujah, joins up there. It's like doing a jigsaw puzzle. It is, and a jigsaw puzzle where you have to fill in color as well. So, oh, don't rush. See why I sometimes put in music to keep myself awake. I don't have a problem staying awake, but you see, personally, um, as an artist, I'm quite happy watching somebody doing this kind of minutiae. Not everybody likes it. So this undulating shape, you see, if you were drawing it as well, this would be very interesting because you're seeing how I'm dealing with particular problems that are coming up. And that's a warm with the cooler. So I am very happy because, not just because I have a lovely bunch of roses to paint, but because my focus has improved tremendously to the point now where I could work with this level of focus for maybe, it depends on the day, because you're not a machine, you're a human. But with this level of focus, I could work away for um, maybe 4 hours. I'm not saying a lot, I could come away really tired afterwards. And I have to build it up like a runner building mileage, you see, because focus isn't something you're just able to, you know, be great at focusing. It tends to be something you really have to work on because it's exhausting. Painting is very tiring because focusing is very tiring. That's why people going into exams and things, might eat a little sweet. They even let you, some exam rooms, they let you bring in little sucky sweets to eat if you want. That's why. Sorry, all my water is dirty now, so I've just dirtied a big load of paint. And yet I wanted to get to here just to show you, because what you're seeing doesn't look like the rose yet, you know. But I have to trust that it will, because if you keep working away on it, it starts looking like the thing. And in observational painting or drawing, you'll find constantly that this happens. Um, that a thing goes through a phase where you think it's never going to look like the thing. But it's just because of what lines you're filling in at what particular time and what bits you haven't filled in yet, what bits you haven't gotten to yet. And then there comes a point when it suddenly starts coming together, you see, hopefully. That's the theory. And I have noticed that a lot of people who haven't been painting all that long lose confidence at that point and start trying to, like at this point that I'm at now, start trying to make it look like a flower and doing things to it that are designed to help make it look like a flower. Now I'm hoping I don't have a big missing here. And you don't want to do that. No. Resist that temptation, even if it ends up not looking like a flower. Worst case scenario, okay? Um, Still, I would say to you, still resist filling in things that you don't see, because you will not learn and progress that way. Okay. So it's, as a painter, it's not even now that you're concerned with. It's 2 or 3 years time. This pays off. It could work like that, you see. I have a whole section here that it just cannot find. I need to get my red out and do a little bit of drawing in here to find it, because it's just disappeared. So that goes in under like that, and then we got that bit. Yes. Then we got that. That is too big in relation to some of the other things that are happening. I've decided. And this is the other thing that happens. Watercolor is a bit unforgiving in relation to this. Gouache and things like that would be more forgiving, maybe. Um, Being prepared to go back and change positions of things. One would hope you're not still doing that quite late on in things, but you can be, you know. So there, there, that's not too bad. And there's a swoop up that way. So my little bit of earning space here is, that's why. And I actually did manage to solve that little drawing issue going on there. So I wasn't that far out. But, I get this isn't the most interesting thing to watch on a live stream. But for somebody who wanted to know, well, what are art skills? How do people learn to draw? How do you learn to paint? What has painting to do with drawing? I think they're useful. I do. And try it. You have the reference photo. Try it out. See, does it work? Now, so I'm just using the drawing skill to try and sort out this area here for myself. Okay. And I want to come in about there. Now I knew that I needed more space in there for whatever folds were going on. And luckily enough, I was able to get it because my drawing wasn't way off. So, like, there's absolutely no making things up went on here at all. This, somebody else making it up might get it looking, ooh, bit swish and everything. But I think if you persist with this way of doing things, that for somebody doing representational work, definitely, and somebody looking to get a lot of detail in something, in a painting, this is the way to go. You can't just make something up, you know, uh, and get a convincing looking thing. Now, sometimes it doesn't come out convincing until you've been years and years and years doing this, you know. But it depends on what you want. Not everybody wants convincing. Um, but then some people would be thinking they're doing a good representational drawing, but they haven't actually seen the object terribly well in the first place, which is sounds really like weird. It sounds like some sort of something wrong with your vision or something, and it kind of is. A lot of the times when we see things, I don't do it because I've been doing this kind of art for so long. But a lot of the times when we look at things, we do not see them. We see what we think is there. So when I put it like that, it might sound like too weird a thing to say. But our mind is full of these kind of shortcuts, ways of seeing things. It tells us all the things we know about a rose, about what a rose looks like, how it behaves, what its petals are like. And when you're doing observational painting and drawing, you are short circuiting that your mind's mechanism and going against all the little generalizations that your mind makes about how you see. And this is why people come up with stunningly fresh looking stuff. Um, that you go, oh my God, don't think I've ever seen a rose before. You could look at a Fantin Latour painting of a rose and think to yourself, I have never really seen a rose before. And, lots of like great poets, um, musicians, painters, and writers have the ability to do that. Like the really good ones. I'm not even counting myself. Um, because they've looked without um, pigeonholing things into the usual shortcut ways of seeing. So, like, this isn't you know a good painting yet, but I'm there. I'm ticking all the right boxes for learning the right skills in this picture. You know, they're very helpful skills. So it's a very good thing to be doing. And I will do it again on Friday. How's that? I can't stop doing it now. Remind myself that I'm starved. Cannot go on. I need tea and a little muffin. And in fact, I'll have to go and source some vegetables somewhere for dinner because I have very little left for dinner. And I'll have myself a nice Valentine's meal with a little treat, an afternoon treat, and a nice meal. And then be fresh for painting camellias tomorrow. What day is today? Wednesday. Yeah, so paint camellias tomorrow. And then Friday, come back and we'll do a bit more painting this. And it'll be a nice break from the camellias for me. And, by that stage, I don't know how much I'm going to get done tomorrow on the camellia. Don't know where it is in relation to being finished, how far along it is at all. You could have another 20 layers of painting for all I know. But there will be other things breaking up the day, like things like I don't think I'm planting anything today, but I'm trying to plant something or other like every day of February, March. March is going to be the heaviest planting time. So maybe you got some ideas there about colors. It depends on the rose you're painting, but the colors I used were a cadmium red and a permanent rose and a white, and we didn't launch ourselves into the blues at all, really. We could have zoomed up color a bit into sort of more day glowish colors by employing um because the color does get more intense over here by employing a watercolor pen. They're nice little pens as well. So it's nice that there are all these kind of day glowy colors around the place because you can get sort of the light coming through the back of something and the intensity of colors that way. But if you look at the picture overall there, you should be able to see three kinds of colors going on just in the pink. And two different kinds of greens going on at the moment. So that's what should make for subtlety in the thing. You saw me also moving around the picture to get one bit drawn correctly in relation to another and scale and everything to get that right. You didn't see me get all the groundwork done. So it still looks like a bit bitty and everything and doesn't really look like one rose because we don't even have the continuous line here, but we get it there on Friday. And if you want to work along, um come back on Friday and see how I'm getting on because it's very useful to look at another artist working. And that was a pretty long session. I mightn't do such a long session on Friday, but we'll see how I'm fixed because this is the year no hurry, remember? Okay, so have a wonderful Valentine's evening. I hope you enjoyed your little bunch of flowers and see you again on Friday. Bye.